Welcome to Northern Tales, where the silence of women becomes story and every chapter reclaims a voice. From quiet courtyards to bustling clinics, our stories rise, bold, unfiltered, and rooted in truth. This is where culture meets conflict, where love is tested, where shame tries to whisper, but we speak louder. And today we meet Nadia, a woman whose worth was questioned simply because her womb stayed silent. This is part one of her name is Nadia, not Barren. Let's begin the story. The room was quiet, too quiet, but inside Nadia's chest, a storm raged. She sat on the edge of the couch, her eyes fixed on nothing, blank, empty. Tears spilled down her cheeks, slow, steady, as if they had been waiting for this moment to finally fall. How did I get here? She whispered, her voice barely carried. When did I become this woman? Voiceless, spineless, swallowed whole by another family's expectations. Today had broken something in her, not because of the shouting, not even because of her husband's silence, but because Maria, her sister-in-law, barely 22 with a new baby on her hip, had looked her dead in the eyes and said the word, Barren, just like that, like it was her name, like it was truth. And her mother-in-law had said nothing, just turned her head slightly with that look, the look that she said she agreed, the look that said, you have failed us. Nadia blinked hard, trying to remember who she used to be. The girl who once wanted to study abroad, who danced with her cousins under the moonlight, who once believed love was enough. She wasn't always this shadow. So when did she hand over the reins of her life? When did she stop being Nadia? She hugged her knees to her chest, calling into herself like a child. It wasn't always like this. She whispered it aloud, as if saying it might somehow make it true again. There was a time, yes, there was a time when her husband Farouk used to watch her like she was sunlight. When he'd drive across town just to see her for 5 minutes. When he'd bring her books, chocolate, poems, call her my queen, and say, Wallahi, even if you don't give me a child, you are enough for me. Lies. Back then, he defended her, protected her from his mother's snide comments, told Mariam to respect her, held her hand during hospital visits, whispered prayers into her palm, wiped her tears, and kissed her forehead. But now he barely looked at her. He flinched at her touch. He listened when his mother spoke ill of her and said nothing. Nothing. She had become a ghost in her own home, no longer a wife, just a woman who cooked, who bled, who hoped, and all for what? What did I do wrong? She asked herself, not for the first time. She followed every doctor's advice. She prayed, she fasted, she cried into her pillow till it went damp and cold. Still her womb remained silent, and so did he. What hurt her most wasn't even the infertility, it was how he changed. How the man who once saw her soul now only saw her failure. She covered her face with her hands and let the sobs shake through her. Because she hadn't just lost a child, she never had. She was losing herself. The silence of the room held like a confession box, and slowly, painfully, the truth began to surface. The signs were always there, she admitted, her voice thick with grief. I just didn't want to see them. Farouk was never perfect, but her love had painted over the cracks. Like how he always had to have the last word, how he hated being questioned, even over small things, how he once got angry when she wanted to postpone their wedding to finish her master's, how he told her a woman's true degree is in her home. She laughed it off then, called it old school charm, told herself he had changed once they were married, told herself his mother would learn to love her. But deep down, something had tugged at her, a voice, quiet but firm, whispering, this isn't how love should feel. She buried that voice. She buried it under henna and gele, under dancing and sweet vows, under wallahi I will protect you, because she loved him. She loved the way he smiled when he was soft, the way he held her like she mattered, the dreams they built together, the names they picked for their children that never came. She loved him so much she forgot to love herself. And now, as the ache in her chest throbbed with every breath, she realized something else. Farouk hadn't changed overnight. He had just taken off the mask. And maybe she hadn't been tricked. Maybe she had just looked away. At first, it looked like a blessing. Farouk loved his mother. He spoke to her every day, visited her every week, held her hand when they walked into gatherings. A man who honors his mother will honor his wife, Nadia once told her best friend proudly. She saw his devotion as a sign of strength, a guarantee of how gently he will hold her heart. But she was wrong. Respect was not what she witnessed. Obedience was. Blind, unquestioning, bone deep obedience. Farouk was the only son, the crown jewel, and his mother made sure the world knew every conversation was laced with reminders. My son, my only boy. And now Nadia was just an afterthought, a guest in a marriage she had only a front row seat to, never a say in. Since the wedding, not a single decision had been made between her and Farouk alone. Not the curtains in their room, not the color of the sofas, not even what food to cook for Eid. Even that had to be approved. The monthly family gatherings, a tradition that started after her wedding, became another performance. His mother inviting the same aunties, his sisters, choosing the menu, and Nadia. She cooked, she cleaned, she served, while they discussed her life like she wasn't there. We are thinking Nadia should take a break from work, Mariam once said. Stress is bad for fertility, her mother-in-law added. Nadia had been right there, sitting on the same couch, holding the same cup of konung aya they were drinking. And no one looked at her. No one asked. Because she wasn't a partner, she was a project. Something to fix, something to discard. She was a Mina girl, quiet, bookish, warm. Her life had rhythm back then. Lectures in the morning, lesson planning at night, the dreams tucked between pages of her master's thesis. Teaching gave her purpose, and in the classroom she was someone. Then came Farouk, charming, confident, older, from Katsina, a civil servant with big plans and a house already being built. He was respectful when he came to see her family. Promised he would let her finish her master's. Promised she could work. Promised she would always have a say. She believed him. So when the wedding came, she packed her books, left her students behind, and followed love all the way to Katsina. Farouk's house was a modest three-bedroom flat, nothing grand but comfortable. She thought it would be theirs. But behind that house stood another building, a two-bedroom flat for his mother. So Mama can be close, he said with a smile. She smiled back, not knowing she has just walked into a palace with one queen, and it wasn't fair. From day one, she was on duty, cooking, sweeping, serving food to aunties, uncles, long-lost cousins, and friends Mama insisted on hosting. No one asked if she was tired. No one cared that she was still adjusting. Nadia became the unofficial caterer and housekeeper, a daughter-in-law in the fullest Nigerian sense, but not a wife in the way she had dreamed. The only peace she found was at the school nearby, a small private school where she taught English to noisy, eager children. The pay wasn't much, but for Nadia it was therapy. A few hours away from Mama's commands, from Farouk's silence, and from being invisible. In those classrooms, she remembered who she was. Nadia from Mina, bright, sharp, independent. But each day, after the final bell rang. She stepped back into the house, behind the house, back into a road that no longer fit her, back into the life that was slowly, painfully erasing her. The pressure started early. Barely 3 months after the wedding, Mariam, bright-eyed, nosy, newly married herself, leaned over during breakfast and asked, Auntie Nadia, are you pregnant yet? She said it with a grin, but the words hit like a slap. Farouk said nothing. Not then. But later that night, when the room was quiet and the fan hummed overhead, he turned to her with a coldness she hadn't seen before. You said you were healthy, he muttered. We've been married for 3 months. Nadia stared at him confused. Farouk, it's only been 3 months. But he was already looking away, already withdrawing. Then came the pattern, month after month. A cycle she once tracked in quiet privacy became a source of tension, of shame. Every time her period came, Farouk's mood would shift. He would sulk, withdraw. Sometimes he wouldn't speak to her for days. And then there was Mama. Mama seemed to know always, as if she had a calendar in her hand. On those days, Mama's eyes would narrow, her voice would sharpen, and her commands would multiply. Clean the compound properly, even if you're tired. God will not bless a lazy woman's womb. You want a child, then act like a mother. If Nadia winced from cramps, she was told to stop pretending. If she took the day off from school, Mama would tell the neighbors, she just sits at home. Yet she's still not pregnant. Each month her own body betrayed her, and the house made sure she knew it. 3 years, 3 years of hoping, praying, bleeding, smiling, shrinking. And every month, the same answer. The red stain, the cold shoulder, the silence that grew louder. Nadia had seen doctors in Mina, in Katsina, in Abuja. She had done ultrasound, hormone panels, invasive tests. Each time the results were the same. You are fine, Nadia. Your body is healthy. But still the question lingered like smoke in the air. One doctor had gently said, the next step is for your husband to get tested. And that's where the road always ended. Farouk refused, flat out, every time. I don't need tests, I'm a man, he would say, backed by Mama's voice echoing through the walls. It is women who carry pregnancy, not men. This morning, it finally exploded. Mariam was there again, as always, feet up, chewing fried chin-chin, her newborn on her lap. When Nadia brought it up, the need for Farouk to get tested, his face darkened. Mama stormed in from the back, her voice rising with fury and insult. So you want to blame my son? You've failed, and now you want to drag him down with you. Mariam joined in. Sarcasm, laughter, whispered slurs like witch and barren goat. Farouk said nothing again. Nadia sat frozen. Then the tears came, hot, unstoppable, but not just from pain, from clarity. Right there in that moment, something inside her snapped back into place. She wiped her face, stood slowly, and said, voice steady through the tremble, I love you, Farouk, but this ends here. I will not continue in this marriage unless you agree to get tested. The room fell silent. Even Mariam stopped chewing. Nadia didn't wait for their reply. She walked out of the room, and for the first time in a long time, her steps felt like her own, and something is rising in her now. A voice, a boundary, a line in the sand. What happens when love is no longer enough? And what if the only way to save yourself is to walk away? Follow us and find out what happened to Nadia in part 2. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Northern Tales because every woman's story matters and every voice deserves to be heard.